Good morning, good afternoon, welcome. It's Ronnie Reyes at the Spark Your Heart Show. Today, my friend, financial planner, Lisa Chastain. How are you?
Good morning, I'm great.
I'm so thankful. I've been waiting for you to sit in that chair again. And today we're going to talk a little bit about financial planning. So let's just get right into it. What is the big deal about financial planning? Can't I just do that stuff myself?
Sure.
Why do I need a financial planner?
It's great. It's a great question. Yes, I think that moderately or on a small scale you can do, and you probably already do your own financial planning of some sort. Your budgeting, your saving, those are all things that financial planners do. But to work with a financial planner, we spend hours studying. We have to be licensed. We're regulated. We're really aware of the industry and how it works. And we're trained how to teach you how to make the smartest choices possible with your money.
Got it.
So I'm a candidate for the certified financial planner designation. My partner's a certified financial planner, and there's a whole curriculum. It's 9 months worth of curriculum learning about how to make smart choices with money and how to do right by our clients. So why wouldn't you want to hire somebody who spends our days thinking about you, helping you, I'm teaching myself how to teach you how to make the best, wisest choices as you move forward in your life.
And how did you get started in financial planning? Something straight out of college or?
It's funny. So when I chose my college, I might have told you this before, but when I chose my college degree, I sat down with my academic advisor and I said, I want the major that is farthest away from math. Give me away from math.
Yeah. How did that work out?
I want to learn about people. So I got my degree in interpersonal communication, and I learned all about how people communicate. But coming out of college, I jumped into working for the university, for UNLV, and had a great career there, and left as the outgoing director of advising for the Honors College there. And I decided to stay home for a couple of years with my son. After a couple of years, I realized that I love the world of work. I love working with people, and I want to be a contribution in this world. So in getting myself back out there, getting my resume out there, getting back into a conversation with myself about what's my purpose, I got recruited by some insurance companies. They were sending me some information about how I could benefit from working from them. And I was talking to my best friend, who's now my business partner. She's a financial planner. And she said, I'd love to talk to you about you joining my practice.
Lisa?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, my financial planning business
Fantastic.
partner, Christina. Okay.
Thank you.
So from there, it was a few months worth of conversations about how my skills align into this industry and how I can work with people. And it's been a great fit. That's how I got started.
So I have met with other financial planners. What would make me working with you different? What's your differentiation? I love that word.
Differentiation.
What's different about how you approach your clients, and what's different about the advice you may or may not give?
Something that I learned early on, and this was about 3 years ago coming into the industry, is that not all financial planners are the same. So just because you say you're a financial planner doesn't mean that you're going to do the same thing as another financial planner in the industry. So some financial planners work with just insurance products.
Okay.
So what they can offer you is different from what another financial planner says is just a wealth manager, where they're really not a financial planner. They're just managing your assets. So in our office, we do the full suite of financial planning, which means that we're going to look at your whole life, the whole picture, and ask questions of you of, are you protected if something were to happen? Are you planning for your big goals in life? We're not out just to sell you a product. We're not attached to one company. We're independent. But it's really a conversation of, Ronnie, what's important for you and Angela in your life? What goals do you have? And let's start the conversation there.
Yeah. And we talked about this earlier at breakfast. You were saying something about a financial roadmap. So can you just kind of describe what that is and how it works?
Mm-hmm. So it's a tool. Financial planners have tools, and there's lots of them out there. We've chosen to go with the financial roadmap that was created by Bill Baccarat. And what's great about the financial roadmap is we've talked about emotional intelligence and the work that we've done, but it's talking about who are we being in this world, and the financial roadmap starts a conversation with who are you being about the money that you have in your life or the money that you want to create in your life. And so similar, he created it using Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a basis of having conversation with clients. So most people think about money as fulfilling their basic needs. So like Maslow says, you have to have your basic needs met first. You need to be in a home. You have to be able to eat, to feel secure. And then once you have those needs met, you can move up in the triangle of self-actualization. And our conversations with the roadmap start there. What does money mean to you? And a lot of people will say, well, so I can provide for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, why is it important for you to provide for your family? And we continue walking up that conversation to get to the heart of what is your purpose in life, and how is money the vehicle of you fulfilling that purpose?
Okay. But I'm trying to understand if a financial roadmap is something that you, me, and for example, Angela would sit down and do in 2 hours, or is this something that Angela and I would kind of take away and then?
No, it's not a lengthy process.
Okay.
It cuts to the chase pretty quickly.
Okay.
And so we've done this in trainings before, where you go, money is, or love is, and you start answering and you get to the top. It might take 10 minutes, but eventually you'll get to the top for yourself. There's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
And then Angela would go through the same thing for herself. And then once we open up that conversation, then we talk about on the roadmap, what are your goals in life? What are some short-term goals or long-term goals? You tell us what those goals are.
Mm-hmm.
And then as financial planners, how can we work with you to achieve those goals and make the smartest choices possible for where you're at in your life?
And again, just going more in depth into the financial roadmap, that's a one-time thing that
Mm-hmm.
either you might sit down with me and do as an individual, and then maybe with me and Angela, or is it always have to be kind of a collaborative sort of thing?
Well,
because in my situation, Angela and I keep our money separate.
Right.
So would it be different? Meaning our roadmaps might look totally different.
It would be preferred for us to work with you as a couple,
Mm-hmm.
because although you keep your money separate, at some level your goals are the same. So even though you have separate accounts, which for retirement accounts, everybody has a separate retirement account, but even bank accounts, you have a daughter who's going to college,
Right.
and you're going to be planning that together. So your lives are still integrated.
Yeah.
And we think it's really important for you to be at the table together, having this conversation together. Although it could be difficult at times, we want to be that third person to say, okay, well, what's common between the two of you, and how are we going to help you plan for those goals that you have together?
And then how does the roadmap, how is there accountability in that roadmap? Would we meet with you once a month, once a week, every day? Could I call you and say, I didn't use a coupon when I was at Smith's?
Sure.
Accountability, what's that going to look like?
We have a planning process.
Yeah.
So, we do the roadmap together, and you say, here are our goals. And then we say, we need these documents and we need this information, and we'll come back together based on how we're planning these goals together. But I'm not your parent, right? This is ultimately for you to hold yourself accountable, but I can be that level of like, okay, I want to spend this money. Can I, or should I, based on what we planned out?
Great. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. We're going to cut it off here, and then we'll go into our next segment called The Turning Point.
Great.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yep, thank you.
Welcome back. This is Ronnie Reyes at the Spark Your Heart Show. We are at my favorite part of the show called The Turning Point. This is where we get into the emotional goodness. Is there emotional goodness in financial planning? I'm not quite sure. But what has been one of the most emotional meetings you've had with one of your clients?
It was actually with a prospective client.
Okay.
But someone that we use this term, it may not be familiar to everyone, but we say we're taking a stand for someone. And it was with a friend who I know needs to sit down and have some tough conversations about how they're setting themselves up financially, how they're making poor choices financially. and we've had conversations, and they keep saying they want to come in, but they're not. And so we all avoid certain parts of money and avoid having difficult conversations. But I had to get really vulnerable with this person, and to the point that I was in tears, that I love you so much that I am asking you to take this step to have the things in your life that you say you want, because this isn't working for you anymore.
Yeah.
And in life, we say you're either being enrolled or you're enrolling. And that was the place where I had to step in and say, I'm not going to listen to this conversation anymore because it's not serving you. It was incredibly difficult to have, but it opened up a new possibility in our relationship, but also in them understanding that, yes, they get to take action and get help.
Yeah. And that is perfect. It leads me to my second question here. Money is so emotional. And again, this segment is called The Turning Point. Mm-hmm. When was that moment in your life, in your career, when you knew you had to really stop and help and support people in regards to their money? It's such a touchy subject.
That's exactly why. Because I love being in the advisor role. I was great at it at UNLV and very passionate about it, working with students. But I want to spend the rest of my life working with people and helping people. And I can't think of a more important subject, a more important place to be in people's lives and talking about money and having those difficult conversations and breaking them down so that people can turn their life around. Or on the other side of it, not turn your life around and start making wise choices, but have someone that cares about you, which is me, to keep your finances in order. If you have, however much you have, to make sure you have somebody that's trustworthy, that's going to be honest, and have great conversations. Trust,
honesty, mm-hmm. To me, those things are like as valuable as currency, as money, as credit, and sometimes even more so. So why are relationships and finances, they're basically intertwined?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Well, in college, I've studied about this, and I read about it as well, that the number one reason that couples don't make it in the world is because of money, financial reasons, financial arguments. They can't get along. One spouse does something the other spouse doesn't agree with. So money's the number one reason that couples survive or don't.
Yeah, everybody out there go like this.
Yes.
Because, money, relationships, definitely intertwined. And what role do emotions play when it comes to doing your financial planning? How do you get the honesty about somebody's finances out of them? Specifically, my situation with Angela is that we have two different views on money. She's very conservative. I'm kind of aggressive when it comes to money and investments and stuff like that. Should I take my emotion out of it and, put it on the robo-advisor and just have my robot do it for me?
I think that what happens with emotions, there's a whole behavioral finance sector in education and in the world talks about removing the emotion from investments in particular. But when we make emotional decisions, especially about money, a lot of times we don't necessarily make the right decisions. So people have emotional attachments to stuff in their life. And you see this in the way people use credit cards. Is it a need or is it a want? And your emotions will drive you a certain way. So when we take the emotions out of your financial life, you can have perspective on, is this choice going to make the most sense for what I want big picture? Is this choice going to get us to where we want to go as a couple? Is it serving our life vision? Or is it emotional, like I'm just having a bad day and I'm going to go buy something and make myself feel better?
Right.
Emotions misguide us. And in the world of emotional intelligence, we learn that when we let our emotions drive us, they have us, we don't have them. And then your life can be all over the place. So I believe that the power of a financial planner is to get you out of that emotional conversation and really look at the investment choices or the savings choices that are going to benefit you long term, not just on a day-to-day whim.
And I kind of want to fast forward in this conversation. You and I spoke at breakfast about mine and Angela's financial perspective. And again, and at the risk of sounding like I'm repeating myself, she's super conservative.
She's very conservative.
And I'm aggressive. So my next point would be, what tips could you give us in regards to renegotiating or negotiating when it comes to our financial outlook?
What's most important is that you somehow, and we have the financial roadmap tool to open up the conversation, but that if you sit down with me or a third party, that you somehow get on the same page about something. And in a marriage, because you're less risk adverse, she's risk adverse, there are still things that you need to accomplish and that you want to accomplish together as a couple. So there is a common ground there, and there's a way to meet in the middle. It doesn't have to be she's a no, you're a yes, or you're both no's. There's a win-win in there somewhere. It's just about having the right kind of conversation, asking the right questions of her. We know that you don't want to open up credit cards. We know that you don't want to take out credit.
Right.
But we know, Ronnie, you're okay with that.
Right.
But what is it that you're planning for anyway? What is this all about anyway? Why is it important to have this conversation? Because it's philosophical instead of being a tangible goal or a tangible result.
Yeah, I could see that. And how do I respect her perspective in regards to being conservative and not let it shut me down, because I am more aggressive when it comes to investments or starting businesses like that. I struggle with the renegotiating. But you're right. I guess Angela and I get to be on the same page about our foundational goals of providing for Kennedy, providing for our future, like that. So the emotion part for me is sometimes very, very difficult. And what advice would you give me in regards to getting Angela to open up about her finances? Because I'm not trying to pry, and I know everybody's so different emotionally when it comes to money. What tips could you give me what questions can I ask Angela to say, hey, babe, it's cool. We're going to talk about money. I'm not trying to get into your checking account. You know what I mean?
So it's funny. We're asking about taking the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
But women were emotional beings. And that you may not win a logical argument with her. You may not, from a male perspective, you tend to go in a logical place with money. Women, we go with feelings. So to ask her how she feels about the money or how she feels about a particular decision that you're making will help her feel like she's being heard emotionally, which might open up a new possibility.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely starting to see the value of putting a planner in my life, because Angela and I tend to go back and forth a lot. But we're going to wrap this section up, and the next section is called Doing It. So thank you, and thanks, guys. See you in about 90 seconds. Welcome back. Ronnie Reyes at the Spark Your Heart Show. We are at the third section of our show. Another favorite. It's called Doing It. I love that part. Lisa, what are you doing today with your current clients? Are you giving them newsletters? What are you doing with them on a daily basis?
Well, most clients I don't speak with on a daily basis, which I think is okay. But we do, yes, we send out a weekly newsletter that is fun and informative. It's relevant. If something's going on in the markets that they need to know about, we certainly will call them personally or send out a newsletter, letting them know, how to emotionally handle what's going on in the markets, which the last few months have been definitely a roller coaster. Yeah. We are setting plans and holding them accountable by way of, okay, here's the plan. Here are the next steps. Here's your goals. Here's what you need to do to meet those goals, and making sure that I'm communicating with them regularly and checking up. Say, hey, you said you would have this by April 1st. Do you have it? Do we need to readjust? So having a person, that personal relationship, those personal touches make a big difference for the clients in my point of view.
Right.
And we do wealth management. We do the whole suite of things. Make sure that they're taken care of.
What recommendations would you give to people who aren't your clients, and how could they get started working with you or any other financial planner?
One of my favorite questions that I had before I went into the industry, I have had a financial advisor for years, but some things I didn't understand was how to prioritize my goals or how to prioritize my money. I bring in this much a month. Where do I put it? Do I open a retirement account? Do I save it? And one of the basics of financial planning is before you start making other big plans, the most important thing is to have an emergency fund in place. And I would recommend it's anywhere from 3 to 6 months that you spend your time accumulating an emergency fund. So when your car tire blows or someone loses a job unexpectedly, something happens, you have something to draw on that isn't going to take away from potentially other savings you have or wreck your plan completely. So that's, I would say, the number one thing to do is start an emergency fund. And from there, consult with a financial planner. There are so many great professionals out there, great people that you can talk to. You can call me and start a relationship with a financial planner. The sooner the better.
Do you recommend somebody who does not have a financial planner? How does that person go shopping for a financial planner? Because I don't assume you go out, passing out business cards and asking people, "Hey, where are you with your finances?" Is most of your is your business based on referrals? And is that how the financial planners?
Yes. The world we live in now, I think that 20, 30 years ago, cold calling and free dinners and those kinds of things worked. But we live in a much more relationship-oriented society today, especially with social networking, social media. So I'm really focusing on relationship marketing. So working with my personal relationships and also creating relationships in the community and letting people know what my value is, what I'm up to, and asking them to come work with me or seeing how we can work together to benefit.
Yeah, relationships have got to be huge and must be super valuable in the financial planning sector. Mm-hmm. Relationships, what popped up for me is that the kids, mm-hmm. that's the foundation that Angela and I are going to build our agreements on. How do I educate kids about money?
Early.
Yeah, of course, early. I don't know if everybody out there knows, I have two. One's 3 and one's 18. Mm-hmm. So they're at two totally different spots with money. And my 18-year-old just moved out with her boyfriend out of state. And I was coming from a place of fear that my 18-year-old is not ready financially. She doesn't have any experience. She's never driven past Pahrump, mm-hmm. And now she wants to move across the country. But that's a whole nother thing. What do you recommend in regards to teaching our children about money and finances? Well,
you've got two opposite ends of the spectrum. You've got a young woman, Kennedy, who's just started her life. And the sooner you can start teaching her about money, the better. And at that age, it starts with, here's a penny and here's how it's different from a quarter. And if you have a quarter and we go to the store, how can you spend it? My colleague, I love this, what he does with his children. And at that time, they were age 3 and 3 years apart, I think. So 3 to 8. And they each got $5 a week and they had 3 buckets. The first bucket is they put however much they want into savings. They choose however much they want to put into spend. And then the third bucket is give.
Oh, that's good.
Bucket. And so they had fun with it. They would save up money to go give it, and they'd have their giving every quarter. And so he just taught them about the different buckets even, which if your daughter Kennedy, is raised to do that, and with your other daughter, your 18-year-old daughter, same thing applies. How much money is she saving? How much money is she spending, mm-hmm. and how much money is she putting away to give or for an emergency fund or something like that? Yeah. So the sooner the better with your 18-year-old, especially because as they get out into the world, and I saw this with college kids all the time, there are lots of free giveaways on college campuses, or a bank will introduce themselves and say, hey, you don't have what you want right now. If you open up this credit card, you sure could. And that's the emotion that we talk about, a want versus a need. Right. And 18-year-olds we know are incredibly emotional. So the sooner that she can learn how to make some logical choices for the betterment of her future, the better off she's going to be.
And in the doing it for my kids, I like to think it has to be daily, like brushing your teeth. You got to I get to tell Kennedy at age 3, and I like your idea of the 3 buckets. She has a piggy bank, but it's got to be daily. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. And holding them accountable. With my 8-year-old, what I do is he says, Mom, I want this. Okay, great. So do you have the money for it? Do you know how much it costs? How are you going to save for it? We have a chore chart. How much are you going to earn? And very, other than maybe birthdays and special occasions, do we spend our own money to buy him what he wants? He gets to save for it.
Okay. So what do you want our viewers to do, the minute that they're done watching this video? What action steps can you give our viewers?
Well, the first question I would ask any viewer to ask of themselves is, how am I setting myself up for success financially? Are there any questions that I have that I haven't taken the responsibility for getting answers to? And who can I ask about my current financial situation? I believe that everyone would benefit from working with a financial planner. They can go on to the Certified Financial Planner website, which I believe is cfp.org, and look for a financial planner in their area to work with. And the financial planners will tell you what kind of clients they work with. So, if they work with women specifically, or if they like to work with couples, or what they specialize in. Certainly, you can look me up on my website, svwealth.com, and give me a call with any questions, and I could point you in the right direction as well.
Great. So that's svwealth.
S as in Sam, V as in Victor, wealth.com.
Perfect. svwealth.com. And then what's a contact number that you could give out?
You could reach me at the office at 702-806-6720.
Fantastic. Again, my name is Ronnie Reyes. Thank you for coming into our little realm of the world. And Lisa, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our show. Also available on iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, all that jazz. We're so grateful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Don't forget, live your dreams and find what sparks your heart.